Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to have you back on this beautiful Monday. I think every Monday's beautiful. Every Monday's beautiful. I know today is Memorial Day, and we do want to honor the people that have given their lives for our freedom. So I would like to take a moment, just a moment of silence for Memorial Day. Thank you, thank you, thank you for giving that time to the people that have served us well for this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank the replay viewers, anyone that's on here live, all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time to come and spend some time with us on the Mary D Show. Today, we have a special guest for you today. This gentleman, he is a motivational speaker. He's an entrepreneur. He's a husband. He's a father, and he is a man of God. This man, his name is Von Nickleberry. He's outstanding in everything he does. And as he is sitting up here, he's clapping. But anyway, I'd like to welcome to our show today the one and only Von Nickleberry. Von, are you
Hey, I'm here. Hold on a minute. Hey, Mama, I'm on the Mary D show. I made it. What's up, Mary?
Von? Thank you, Von. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming on. We're so glad to have you. And we have Sheila Hart. Sheila said, "Oh, amen and good afternoon." Thank you, Sheila. We're always glad when you come by and make comments. And for those of you that don't know, you can go on Facebook and make the comments, or you can go on you can also do them on YouTube. And when they come in, I try to always make sure that they show up and we get to address those comments. So thank you, Sheila. Well, Vaughn, you are, I think from the second I met you, that energy is infectious. You're not just high energy, you're at the sky energy. So
I know I gotta calm down, right? Imagine being married. Just imagine being my wife being married to me, right? Whoa.
Well, we know that's been how many years? 27?
You know what? It'll be 27 years this September, and together 31 years.
Whoa, that's a success. You know that. You know that. That is really, I always call it the double digits. Anytime you hit the double digits, after you get to 10, I said that's successful, because it's hard to get to 10 for a lot of people. So I definitely say that. Well, let's say that. Vaughn, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you? I know that you, growing up, were trained to be a swimmer in the Olympics, I believe.
My mom had this crazy regimen of me and my older sister, Tina. Her dream for us was to be Olympic swimmers.
Mm-hmm.
I won my first diving competition when I was 7 years old. Okay. Imagine that, right? And especially when you don't have a lot of African American kids swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She wanted us to be swimmers. My dad played basketball, and so I end up following after my dad. And even now, as a grandmother, my mom is real big about all of her grandchildren knowing how to swim. So my son swims. Right. My niece swims. Like all of them swim. Teach my kids how to swim. And so, that's what my mom wanted. But, I went on to play college basketball.
Okay.
And that's where I met my girlfriend, who is now my wife. And so we've been married, ever since. Got involved in ministry. Most people don't know this about me, but got involved in ministry by accident. I literally was leaving my mom's house so I can go to college and hang out with as many girls as I wanted to hang out with, because my mom made it so hard. My mom raised me to be a virtuous and a righteous man, right? But when you're going through hormones, you're kind of the star, you look older than what you really are. Then my mom made it really hard for me to live unrighteous. She did. If she knew that I was going to hang out with a female and there was something planned, my mom would literally be like, "No, you're not going out the house tonight," right? So when I went to college, it was like, yes, Mom is going to be gone. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I don't have my mom cock blocking. This is me. And I remember going to college. And my mom always raised me in church, even though I wasn't thinking about it, right?
Right.
When I went to college, I went to go hang out with the girls and play basketball. It was like the better I was, the more the girls was going to come. And
Right.
so I got tricked into teaching Bible study.
Mm,
And I did. We got our first paycheck. Coach wanted us down like 2 weeks after we graduated, us being freshmen, because
mm-hmm,
he wanted us to get acclimated to university. And
mm-hmm.
as soon as we picked up our first check, the upperclassmen, my coworker said, Vine, you get down here, you don't want to lose it. You don't want to be like all these other kids who, their first year, they drop out of school because of grades. You want to focus on what you need to focus on. Plus, you grew up in church. And
Right.
so they were like, let's have Bible study. I was like, I don't want to have Bible study. They were like, no, let's have Bible study. I was like, no, I don't want to have Bible study. I ain't come down here to have Bible study.
Right.
And Sharina Lloyd, I'll never forget Sharina Lloyd. She was from my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
She was a very close friend. And they were like, who's going to teach Bible study? And Sharina Lloyd said, Vaughn can teach Bible study. His mom make him go to church every Sunday. And I was like, wow, right?
Wow.
And my mom taught me, she said, Vaughn, if somebody asks you to do something good and it
Mhm.
doesn't do any harm, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So I taught Bible study, and I'll never forget. After I taught Bible study, I said to myself, I was upset. I was like, this cannot be my calling. I came to college with, I didn't come to college to teach Bible study. And
I
we
hear
literally
you.
over a period of 2.5 years from that moment, we
Mm-hmm.
grew a Bible study where we had, at our height, we would have 200 to 250 college students every Monday night, jam packed, fire codes broken. You had celebrity singers coming down trying to speak at our Bible study, take it over, saying, Vaughn, how did you do this? And
Mm-hmm.
it was so amazing
Right.
that I didn't know how to balance. Most men don't know how to balance their emotions. So imagine and their agenda. So imagine me trying to balance my emotions and being in a relationship, playing college basketball, going to school, and at the same time, a Bible study. That was a lot for an
It
18-year-old
is.
year old kid
It is
who
a lot.
literally went to school to do two things: chase women and play basketball. And now I find myself teaching Bible study, and I
Mhm.
knew I couldn't be a hypocrite. I couldn't
Mhm.
say I was going to do it and do it halfway,
Yeah.
or I couldn't say I was going to do it and
Right.
then have the image of other people saying things like, he just like all those other people in
Mm.
ministry and preachers. And so that was like a fearful thing for me. I couldn't preach it and
Yeah.
not live it. As a
That's
matter
right.
of fact, it was like, if I wasn't going to live it, I ain't preaching. Nah,
Right.
because you are not going to associate me
Right.
with ungodliness
Right.
and ministry. It
Right.
just, those two didn't fit. So yeah, I got tricked in the Bible study. I'm sorry for that long
No, no, no.
explanation, but yeah, I got tricked.
But
And I've
then,
been
okay,
tricked ever since.
let me ask you this. You said you got tricked, but is that where you met your wife?
Yeah, that's where I met. And then when I met my wife, she was a virtuous woman, right?
Mhm. Right.
And now we're dating, and I really got to do the right thing
Yeah.
because I didn't want to lose her.
Yeah.
And so now I got to be on my best behavior. Her brother's on campus. So
Um,
her brother, who is a good friend of mine, we happen to be roommates at some point. He's no
oh,
longer here. His name is
mhm.
Gary Crawford. If you ever followed Fred Hammond, and Fred Hammond's first CD was, he got a song on there that says "Hear My Cry, O Lord." Beautiful song. So
Mhm.
every time,
Mhm.
even now, I hear that. I think about my brother. And I remember walking to campus. I was going to practice, and Sarah's, who is my wife, Sarah, right, without the H. I was going to basketball practice, and her brother just tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "What do you want with my sister?"
Woo!
I was like, "Whoa!" Right. So now I got like a guy who's a brother,
Hmm.
whose sister I'm dating, who's on campus, and then he said something to me. He said, "I heard you are teaching, and I heard you're a Christian." And then he says, "Are you a fake one or a real one?" And oh my gosh, that's stuck in my head. So now I really got to do the right thing.
A fake one or this? He's put you on the spot.
Oh, he put me on the spot. I'll never forget that. We were right there. He was a resident advisor. He put
Mhm.
me on the spot, and I thought about that the entire time on my way to practice. And
Right.
every time I saw him, I knew, right, because you got big brothers. I knew what big brothers do, right?
Right.
I I just had to do the right thing. So yeah, I got tricked.
You
Uh,
you know what? I don't think you got tricked. I think you got blessed. That's what it
I
was.
got,
That's
yeah, I
what
got
it
blessed.
was. Because
Yeah,
I mean, all the things you thought you wanted to do, I think you have already realized it didn't amount to anything. It wasn't going to amount to
no, it
anything.
didn't.
Yeah, but
No, it
God
wasn't.
said, "I have different plans for you. I have
Mhm.
bigger plans for you than what
Yeah,
you think." Like you said, you were just all you looked at was freedom. I can do it.
yeah. But getting back to the way my mom raised me, and this is so important. Because
Mhm.
even when I left for college, I remember that ride saying, oh my gosh, I'm on my own. There's no mom and dad. So even before I start thinking about making the right decisions, because my
Mhm.
mom said, hey, you don't want to get anybody pregnant. You want to keep your legs closed. You want to do the right thing. So, and she said this, she said, when you don't have mom and dad around, God will be a father for you. So when I'm driving, when my uncle is driving me to college in his van, I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, I got to do the right thing. Oh my gosh, my mom and dad's gone. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, the decisions I make now, these things can literally like follow me down the road.
Yeah.
And so I was already, so God had already been preparing me on the journey from leaving my mom to me stepping foot on campus, even though I didn't know about it. And so when I look at my life, I really got to give tribute to my mom and dad on how
Mhm.
they raised me.
Oh, that's
And I believe in that scripture that says if you train up a child in the way that he is old,
right.
or when he grows old, he won't forget it. He will remember that path. And
That's
that's kind of why I'm here now.
all right. I tell you.
So yeah. So yeah, there we go. Now I can get back, right? Y'all got tears. Me thinking about my mom, I got tears coming. Like, oh my God, I was hanging out with mom yesterday. I ain't trying
Oh,
to cry because men don't cry. That's just allergy. See that?
but you know what? This I'm gonna tell you because all of us have stories. We all
Mhm,
have. I mean, there's no doubt you can tell how your parents have affected your life tremendously, and that even when you didn't know it, your mom, they were, and dad were praying over you,
mhm,
even though you didn't probably realize it or know it. They still they always wanted the best for you and
mhm,
always wanted you to make the right decision. And what you've done is shown them, yeah, I have made the right decisions. I have
mhm.
made good, strong decisions in your life. So that says a lot about them too. So I
Yeah,
know I haven't met them, but I may I may one day. But I see the product in you. So that's a
yeah.
good thing. And you also, like you said, you mentioned about your wife and
Mhm.
how you guys met. And you also have a son.
I have a 12-year-old son. As a matter of fact, he swims. Does he play basketball like the rest of us? No.
Mhm.
Um, it's not a passion of his. I've always wanted my son to, of course, I wanted to play basketball. My dad played, and I want my son to play. But then I realized, you know what? I want my son to be able to choose because I think when I was growing up,
Mhm.
I really didn't have a choice. My
Right.
dad wanted me to play, and then my
Right.
cousin wanted me to play, and we all played. So like, okay, I played by default, and then realized that you know what, you keep doing it, you could be pretty good.
Mm.
Um, and then I just heard my dad. I just remember hearing stories about my dad.
Mhm.
I heard stories about how good your dad was, and then I would say, Dad,
Mhm.
why didn't you do NBA? And he would be like, Boy, I met your mom, right? And then you're exactly right. And so people say, Why didn't you do it? And it was like, man, when I got to college, I just wanted to hang out with Sarah all day long.
Oh.
I didn't want to play basketball. I didn't want to be the man on the team and have the attention. I wanted everybody to know that I belong to that girl right there.
Oh, that is such a love story. Oh my goodness. I tell you, and that, to be saying that after over 30 years of being together.
Yeah, and she's still my best friend. And you know what? I realized that even when things get tight, I could
Mhm.
say that, she's still my best friend. Uh, yeah, she is.
That's wonderful. That is
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, I know. No, well, let me ask you this. You've been in sports, so you know the competitiveness of sports and
Oh my
how.
God. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm so sorry. I can see my mom in the back probably looking and say, "Boy, if you interrupt her one more time,
No, that's what
Mary
you're
D,
fine.
Mary D, go right ahead."
No, I'm asking because I don't know if people always make that connection between the competitiveness of sports and business, how it overlaps, and that the desire to win is still in you, even if you're not in sports, but it carries into everything else you do. So I know you, like you said, you started out as swimming, then you ended up going into basketball, and all of these are competitive. But one, you went from an individual sport to a team sport.
Mhm.
That's another thing. So you went from individual competition to now you're competing with the team. And I think, if I remember correctly, your team went to Sweet 16.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I didn't go to like the University of Michigan that got these big budgets, but I got this little ring right here, right, that literally says NCAA Sweet 16.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
as a matter of fact, people say, "What university was it?" It was a university called Eastern Michigan University. You might say, "Well, where is that at?" It's just not too far from the University of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
But the Iceman George Gervin, that
Mm-hmm.
is the school that he went to. So when we say Eastern Michigan, for people kind of not knowing the Mid American
Mm-hmm.
Conference, we always say, the school George Gervin went to. Oh yeah, that school. So yeah,
So that's your namesake. But to make
yeah.
it, it's hard to make it to Sweet 16. That's hard.
It's hard even for major universities. So when you talk about a mid-major university like Eastern Michigan University, it is tough. And
Mhm.
I've been fortunate and blessed. And it's interesting because people look at tennis and boxing as an individual sport. Well, that's because you're the one competing. But the
Right.
reality of it is, it was my mom who taught me how to swim. It was my sister Tina, my older sister Tina, that competed with me on a day-to-day on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
So as much of an individual of me swimming in the pool, I'm literally a representative or of my mom, of my sister, of them making me, pretty good. And the same
Right.
thing with basketball. So, yeah, I love basketball.
Oh, I do too. I'm a what could I say? Retired basketball player, I guess.
Okay,
I'm a graduate of UC Riverside, but on women's varsity though.
go
And
ahead, girl.
yeah, but and I say that because that's why I know how that competition carries over.
You know what? And you talk about the relationship between business and sports,
Right.
but the number one rule in sports is you don't ever quit or you don't ever give up.
That's right. That's right.
And so it's not just a business correlation, but it's a correlation in your faith, where Paul talks about completing the race,
Right.
where it's your marriage, completing it until till death do us part.
Hmm.
Um, the idea of that, if I put my mind to it, the idea that, I can win.
Right.
I tell people, once you develop that winner's mindset, you'll learn how to win even when you lose, because it's just a mentality.
It is. It is. And you put, I mean, it's not 100%, it's 1,000% of you into that, whatever it is that you're focusing on until and I really like what you said about you never quit. And I mean, this is the analogy I use is when one of my favorite is when LeBron James, when they were down, I think it was 3-1, and they were going for the championship and they came back and won. The
No, they beat the Golden State Warriors.
I know they were down. I think it was 3-1.
I know. Yeah, it was 3-1, and they came back because
And
Draymond Green, right? Draymond Green, want to give a big shout out to Draymond, home of Saginaw, Michigan, right? His
right?
mom is like one of my best friends.
Get out.
And
I didn't
oh
even
no, oh, look, bro, I got pictures of me dunking on his auntie when we were kids, right?
no.
Yes, yes, yes. And so they 3-1. Draymond goes, he gets suspended for game 5,
Yep.
and then they never come back from that. And so, it's interesting because, people say, well, wait a minute, Vaughn, do you still play? And I do still play. And then my wife said, I want you to retire. And so I have to retire. People say, hey, didn't you just quit? Because I'm in this league.
Uh-huh.
And let me tell you, I'll name a few. Andre Rison is in that league. Andre called me, that played football, right?
Hmm.
That was married to, or that dated Left Eye, and she burned down his house. Remember
I
the story, right?
remember. I remember.
Bad Moon, right? Andre's a friend of mine. He called me up and said, hey, I want you to play on my team. I'm like, yes, I'll play. And then I played it, and my wife is at home thinking, well, you're going to hurt yourself. You're the breadwinner in the family. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't care what you say. I'm playing. I can still play. I can still give it to him. So I played for 2 more seasons. And all of a sudden, at this time in her life, she didn't have to tell me to retire. I just knew that it was the best thing to do. And people say, Vaughn, isn't that like quitting? No, what that is you realize that season in your life has passed.
Yep.
and you now make adjustments because there's bigger and there's better things on the horizon.
And you're absolutely right. I know if you can say retired from playing, we did a faculty against the students game.
Mhm.
That's when our children were small. They were so afraid I couldn't play. They literally went to the top of the bleachers so nobody would know they were my children. I said, I'm not kidding. And then it really occurred to me they had never seen me play, so
Mhm.
their idea was like, oh, she does not know what she's doing. She's gonna get out here and embarrass us. Do you know I was making the most points in the game, hitting the most shots? They
Yes,
start
that's it.
coming down from the bleachers. And then
Li-
they were standing going,
Listen,
that's my mom. That's my mom.
oh, look, you don't have to tell me. My son, I grew up watching my dad play. I saw what my dad can do. So
Right.
my son, right, when we
Mhm.
had him, I was a little bit older, than what I was when, my dad had me.
Right.
And so I remember we were playing Morris Peterson that went to Michigan State University, part of the national championship that played in Toronto, right? So now Morris Peterson, I'm checking Morris Peterson, right? Here I am. I'm 50 now. I was 48 and I'm checking Morris Peterson, national championship at Michigan State. And then
Right.
all of a sudden he's playing his league with Charlie Bell. We in Flint. I'm in their hometown and I'm checking them and I'm doing good, right? And I'm
Okay.
like, yes, I got this. And my son didn't even know who he was. He didn't know how good dad was. And so, but he just looked at me and he said, Dad, you did pretty good. I said, yeah, I did pretty good, son.
He
And
didn't know,
so,
he didn't understand what was
yeah,
really going on. I
he,
know.
he
Oh,
didn't understand what was going on. But you know what? As he get older, he'll realize something.
yeah.
And then the lessons that I teach him are hopefully the same lessons that my mom and dad taught me that teaches him. And he learned how not to quit. Because I grew up in the city. My
Hmm.
son is a suburban kid.
Right.
And we in the era that we live, sometimes we have second thoughts because it's like, do we send our child out to play? Because basically there's not a lot of people that look like us.
Right.
And so in the back of my head I'm thinking, well, if somebody steals somebody's bike and then my son is riding his bike, oh, so I'm just, yeah, so we're going through those things of raising black men in a
Yeah.
neighborhood that may not look like other folk.
I think we all are. And it
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
I understand.
Yeah, all of us are faced with this in society. But I
Hmm.
tell you, the desire to not give up, the desire to, like I said, to the end, just to, as they call the bitter end. But I think it's just even when you're down, what I like what you said about even when you lose, you can win. And I
Hmm.
really think it's because how you lose is why you can, like when people can lose well in a game, I feel so good for them that they know how
Hmm.
to go over and congratulate the team. Even when you lose, you still understand there's an honor. It's an honor. You were both fighting for the same thing, but only one team is going to win. I don't care what game you're playing. Only one team can leave that quote unquote battlefield and be the winner.
Hmm.
So I just,
You're right.
yeah, just hang on, just keep hanging. That's what like I said, hang on to the bitter end,
Hey, that's it right there.
no matter
I'm
what.
hanging on in, like the old preachers say, I'm hanging on in and to see what the end gonna be like.
I tell. Well, I know too. You transferred those skills to, you said, to entrepreneurship. You have
Yeah.
owned your own business. So you've been an entrepreneur. Seems like to me. Was it your whole life primarily?
No, you know what? I've been an entrepreneur since 1997
Okay.
or 1996 when I got fired or I retired from my job by accident. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I said, I never want to be in that position again where somebody dictates whether or not um, I get an income, you know.
Uh huh. I understand.
So, yeah.
Okay. We have a comment from Oliver Welch. Hi, babe. That's my husband. But he said,
Hey, hey, what's up, Oliver?
he said, nice show. He was talking about one of my favorite players, the
Yeah.
Iceman of San Antonio.
Yeah, Iceman. And, George Gervin still has a foundation. And he's still in San Antonio and he's doing big things.
All right, all right. He went and he said, "What he put nice show too." He went made a comment. I tell you, this is my
Okay.
biggest fan. He makes sure he's at every show. He supports every show. So thank you, babe, for always being there. But I want to make sure, like you said, you've transferred. You said you didn't want to have someone else to have control over your income. That was what was important
Correct.
to you.
Correct. Because
So, oh, go on.
No, I'm sorry. Are you sure? Because I don't want my mom said, Vine, you did it again. You
No,
interrupted
you
her.
didn't do anything. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know what? It was just that here I am, 2 years into a marriage. And then all of a sudden, I didn't want the promotion.
Mm,
I just didn't want it. I was comfortable. And then they brought somebody else in who was threatened by me being there because the community liked me a lot better than they liked her. And she didn't want that. And so he said, either you can quit or I'm going to fire you because she's a project manager now. And 2 years into a marriage, imagine going home saying, hey, honey, I don't have a job anymore. Where does your income come from? Um,
mm,
yeah, because I think a lot of times that
yeah.
whole malehood and being a husband, that provider thing weighs on us heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I no longer felt like a man because I couldn't provide. I mean, what am I going to look for? And then all of a sudden, I wasn't real good at managing money. So now I got a judgment here, a lien here, and if I go get a job working for somebody else, they gonna garnish it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to do something. And then I was introduced into the world of entrepreneurship by accident. I got tricked. I got tricked. You know, and then I had to learn how to, manage money. I had to learn the
Mhm.
importance cash is king. Then I started in the janitorial business. And then now you got to hire good help. And then you got to go out here and man, I picked people up. I dropped them off. And man, it was just hard to find good help. And I just realized, man, I don't want to do this anymore. After 10 years, I got burned out.
Mm,
And
mhm.
then I got introduced in the world of direct sales for the fifth time because I tried the Grandway company, I mean the granddaddy company of direct sales, and Ford failed 4 times. And so when I got
Mm,
involved in the direct sale company that I'm with then, I mean, just imagine everybody saying you're going to fail again, right? Go
mhm.
get a job, and I'm like, if I go get a job, they're gonna garnish my stuff for about a year.
Mhm, mhm.
So I had to protect, and then I found a company that will pay me on a little pay card. I was like, bet you pay me on that pay card, I'll bust my butt. And I made my first $1 million with that company. And
Wow.
it was a blessing.
All right. But you said you got tricked.
I got tricked because you know what? Because had I not gotten fired,
Uh-huh.
I probably would have never moved out my comfort zone. Probably would have never been an entrepreneur.
So you saying because of it, that's what made you
Mhm,
look to do something different. It wasn't for that, you would have stayed there. I think that's for a lot of us. It's
mhm,
hard. Why make a move if you don't really have to?
mhm,
I think that's really. I think a lot of us. It's something has to be internal or something happens drastically that makes you
mhm.
want to make a move. And like you said, they were giving you a choice, and you're like, you know what? It's time for me to do something. I don't want. And basically, you're saying, I don't want this to happen again. I
Correct.
don't want. Whenever it goes down, it won't go down like this again. Somebody
No,
will come back in and
yeah,
say that. Mhm.
I'm gonna be in control of this. I mean, this is.
Correct.
And then I realized as an entrepreneur that I can make as much as I want to make,
There's no
that the
limit.
sky's the limit.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna kill this thing. And believe me, when I first got involved in direct sale or the fifth go round, right?
Hmm.
Um, did I think I was gonna win? I didn't see myself making as much as I made.
Hmm.
But once people start cheering you on, and once people, at least people believe in you,
Right.
and they start saying you could do this. And it's interesting because this didn't come from mom and dad, right? Because for them, that safety net, my father worked at General Motors,
Hmm.
my mom at the post office, and she would go, back and forth as to whether or not she was going to be a stay-at-home mom or whether she was going to be full-time working somewhere else. And then she chose to be a full-time at-home mom.
Right.
That was comfortable.
Hmm.
And that's what they knew. That's what their parents taught them.
Right.
But the rules of money was changing.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so what used to work of retiring for a company 30 years, that don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was realizing that. So the rules have now begun to shift.
Right.
And it shifts from the W-2 to a 1099.
That's
And
true.
it's like, oh my gosh, I need to learn how to play this game. I want to play this game above the rim. And so I learned from some of the very best in networking, and I'm still learning to this day. Because when I realize the sky is the limit and I can make as much as I want to make, oh my
Right.
gosh, it's a wrap.
You said that's all I need to know.
That's all I need to know.
And the fact that you have control of your own destiny. There is nobody going to walk in and ever say to you, no, you can't do this, or no, you're not, whatever the reason. There are no no's in what you're doing.
Right.
It's just
And,
it's only like you said, the sky's the limit. Whatever you
you
want
know,
to do.
the sky's the limit. But once you align that with the steps of a righteous man are ordered by God, and then you realize, yep, you know what? I am kind of in control. And God got my back when I do the right thing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even when I do make a mistake, He still got my back if I can just acknowledge my mistakes and move on. But the reality of it for me was I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
That's right.
And then I hear Paul continue to say, you know what, man, we are more than conquerors. So when I decide that I'm going to do something, I'll
Mm-hmm.
already have an advantage because I know who's fighting alongside with me. And yet my destiny is being protected
Mm-hmm.
by the one who created the heavens and the earth and keeps the sun shining. And I can begin to say, my dad has my back.
Oh, that is just, it's powerful. Just knowing that. Just knowing that. It takes the edge off the. And I'm listening to you because I went through this. I went through a similar situation where I made a decision to retire. I didn't know what I was stepping out into. I was scared, afraid, and still. And this is what I really realized. That's what faith is when you still move through the fear, through the anxiety, through all of that, and you still move. And you don't know what the outcome's going to be. Like I always say, I stepped out. I didn't know if I was standing on quicksand or hard land, but I still stepped out. And I thank God that I would probably wouldn't be here if I hadn't done that. Because I just said, okay, Lord, if you say you with me, like you said, who can be against me? And my husband was holding my hand and saying, you can do it. So that makes a difference when you have that support. It definitely makes. So your wife was supportive then?
No, my wife didn't come to my first meeting.
I mean,
oh no, oh no. I remember. Remember, see, because I had tried direct sales before,
right,
and I failed 4 times. And then the only people that she ever saw who ever had any type of success in direct sales, they didn't look like me.
Right. I understand.
And so it was like, because I'm learning. I'm trying to learn.
Right.
Right. And, whether it was mom and dad, right? It was like, no, son, go get a job. Whether it was her, and they did all of that out of love.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, because it's comfortable. They were taught, go to school, get a degree, go get a good job. And it was repeated over and over and over again. And now all of a sudden, I got dreamed to where I want to determine the type of income that I'm. Oh yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow.
Now let me ask you this: since and this is, I think, for a lot of people going into network marketing, when did they say, "Oh, maybe this is working"?
It took years.
So you were constantly fighting this battle.
I had people at my church calling me. Oh yeah, but you know what? I had my uncle, right? He's my uncle. I never forget a conversation I had with my uncle. He said, "Man, you got that beautiful wife over there. Boy, you better find a way to provide for somebody else will." My Uncle Bunchy was hard on me, man, and he was an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
I just knew I could do it.
Okay.
But let me say this.
Okay.
It's almost like, and I might have to be real silly after this because this might like bring a few allergies to act up. But I remember when Jesus is getting ready to be betrayed. He goes into the Garden of Gethsemane and he takes his inner circle with him, Peter, James, and John. And he says, I want you guys to sit, watch, and pray. And then scripture says he goes a little further.
Right.
And I think in life, matter of fact, I know in life, there's a place that only we can be, that we can't take the Peter, the James, and the John. Because and then we got to face what we have to face is mano y mano, is one on one, is you and the man in the mirror. And you have to make that determination
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
to what fork in the road you're going to take. Mama can't come, wife can't come, sister can't come, brother can't come. Why? Because they're over there. They're watching and they're praying, and they all have their own ideas.
Right.
But this walk is a personal walk. Yet you are impacted by a whole lot of the people, your environment, other folk. But man, when you get there and it becomes you and you,
Mm.
and your mom can't be there,
Yeah.
and Jesus faced what he faced right there, and he was settled in his spirit, and he woke up only to find, and he got up only to find Peter, James, and John sleeping, and he says, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
And then you realize everybody can't come to that place where you have to be, where God says it's you and you.
Mm.
And I'm right here. I'm listening. I'm strengthening you. I'm protecting you.
Mm.
Are you going to do it? Oh,
You
God,
know,
got it.
that is
Yeah.
still that's a place. I don't know if a lot of people even get to that place.
No, they quit before they even get started.
Because you know why? It's so scary.
Oh, it
All
is
of those
scary.
things all of those, okay, think about what you just said. You were getting your parents, your wife, your intimate circle saying to you, to a certain extent, get a job. Get
Oh,
a job.
yeah.
And then you get people from outside of that circle. So you're getting think about all this that's coming at you. And they're all saying the same thing. And they're all saying it out of love.
Oh, they did it out of love.
Where did you dig deep and find that place to say, even though you know that they're what they're saying, but you still said to yourself, no, I can do this, even though 4 failures. Think about what all this is saying. That's really, it really wasn't a lot to hold on to say you could do it. I can tell you that just listening, it wasn't. So how do you still get past all that and still get up the next day and still keep going?
I think it was two things. The fact that I had to do it out of necessity.
Okay.
See, because I knew my wife had big dreams and big goals, and a job wasn't going to get it done.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Um, I remember a conversation I had with my dad, and he called me, and it was stressful, man. He called me. He said, "Hey, look, son, I want you to go coach, right? Either go coach, be a teacher. That's what you do, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Dad, I want to be wealthy." And he said, "Son, give it up. You'll never do it." Um, I don't know if I lost you, Mary. Are you still there?
I just made it so they would see you when you were talking just then. I was here.
Oh, okay. All right. Girl, you scared me. I was like, where'd she go? And
I'm right
all of a sudden,
here.
I was like, is that a sign?
No,
Am I not supposed to tell this part? Mama, hold on. Mama, I'm on the Mary D show. No, look, no, but seriously.
no. I just because you know what it was. I wanted them to focus on what you were saying. That's why I took
Okay.
myself off. Okay.
You can't just do that, man. See, because,
Okay.
I don't handle that. But no, but this is the deal. It was that conversation with my dad. And I said, Dad, I want to be wealthy. He said, son, give it up. And I said, Dad, you told me when I was a kid, I can do anything I set my mind to do. And then he just paused. And he said, you listen to me. I said, yeah. And that was it for Dad. But I also wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And I wanted to prove to other people that it could be done. And so my wife has always been, even to this day, my wife is my biggest supporter. Um, because she's still my very best friend. And so whether or not she may show up, I know that she is most definitely cheering me on. And so same thing with mom and dad. They are cheering me on. As a matter of fact, my mother-in-law, who's no longer with us, is cheering me on. So my brother, in-law, Gary, who's no longer with us, is cheering me on. And I've been blessed. I've been extremely fortunate. And I can just say this: God has been good to me and my family. All right, Mary, I need to see you.
I'm coming back.
There we go.
But I'm gonna tell you, your voice changed, and I said, I just want them to hear you, and that's why I took myself out the picture. But anyway, I
I
just,
got it.
I'm listening to you. I'm like, I mean, so even though they were saying things, their love for you superseded everything they were saying. And even when you said about your dad, he said I think he was surprised to know you listened to him.
Yeah, but I listened to him. I want to be like my dad.
And for him to say,
I want to be just like my dad.
when he told you, give it up, go get a job.
Oh yeah, he did. And son, be like me, right? I mean, because he worked at General Motors, and when you're in Michigan, Flint, Pontiac, and Detroit, the General Motors was like everything revolved around that.
Yeah.
Help build the middle class in those urban areas, especially here in Michigan.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a booming time that your
It was
dad was.
booming time.
It
Oh
really
yeah.
was. Did he tell you he could help you get a job with GM?
No, but my cousins did.
Mm,
You
yeah.
know,
You're like
but
yeah.
yeah, it was tough. But the skill set that you learn as an entrepreneur, even if you fail, is phenomenal. And people don't understand that.
Yeah.
We want to end up at success without ever having to go through the journey.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, who doesn't want that? Nobody wants to. That's what the saying goes. You mean people want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die to get there. So
Yeah.
um, nobody wants the pain. We all
Mhm.
want like you said, to feel the other side of that. But I really think that when you're going through all of those things, and Lord knows I've been through them and still go through,
Mhm.
that's what strengthens you and builds that faith in you and builds that courage
Mhm.
to go on to the next step. And without that, you can't, it's almost like you can't make it to the next step without having gone through something. Very few people make it are successful in having gone through something, don't have a story to tell.
I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's tough. I look back since 1997, never been evicted, mortgage paid on time, car
Wow.
notes paid on time, and that in itself is a blessing.
It is.
And I think the reason a lot of people can't get to that point is because they never even try. They're comfortable being comfortable.
Yep.
And the one thing sports teaches you is how to get out of your comfort zone. Because you
Yeah.
do things you don't like to do in sports. It's like we're
Yep.
getting ready to run. Oh no, not again. Yeah. And
Yep.
you don't even talk back. You might talk under your breath, but when coach say, hey, sprint, you sprint. Run, you
Mhm.
run.
Yep.
Drill, you drill. So you learn how to do the things you don't like to do.
Oh, as soon as you said that, all I thought about was suicides.
Girl, I was thinking of like another one, and
I
you just
remember
bust your butt.
when she said it, it was just my whole body, knowing I had to do it. But when she said it, I said, I would trick myself into thinking, I said, don't even think about it. Just do
Hmm.
it. Don't even, because you got
Oh,
to do it. You got to do
yeah.
it. She said, you don't talk back to a coach. You don't say anything.
And don't ever be last. That's the other thing that sports teaches you, right?
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
be last. Oh my gosh, if you run a suicide and you the last one, it's like, oh my no. So you out there, you give it your very best, and it's like
Mhm.
all the time. And then you get faster and you say, I don't have to run as fast now, but you still bust your butt. See, because you train yourself. So now you're doing things and you're leading from the front and you're
Yeah.
not even giving in your best. Why? Because you didn't gave your best the last 10 times that it carries you. Listen, I am out of shape at 50. But let me say this,
Hmm.
because I've lived a life of where I've been competitive,
Yeah.
it carries me over even till this day. People say, look, I showed up. It's like, you still look like you could play.
Yeah.
Yes. Why? Because I've been doing this for so long.
That's right. That's right. And so it sustains you.
It sustains me.
I tell you. But I think the same thing goes in business.
Oh, it does. As a matter of fact, I quit working for 10 years and the residual income still was coming in. It was like it sustains you.
Whoa. If you put the work in, you got to put the work in. Well, let me
Yep.
ask you this. I know too, you mentioned earlier there was a book that you said that you like to share with our audience.
you know, it is. It's called How Come That It Is Rich and I'm Not. And on page 100, it gives certain tips.
Mm-hmm.
And on page 100, it just talks about stuff that wealthy people do. And he just says, you know what, you can have your dream vacation today. Like, man, my dream vacation when I was a kid never happened because the only thing our parents did, we would go to Cedar Point. That was where the amusement park was.
Right.
It's home of the best roller coasters in the world to this day. That was our vacation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at Marsha Brady and the Brady Bunch went to Hawaii, I was like, that never happened to us. We ain't ever
Nope.
going to Hawaii, right? But
Mm-mm.
Dad did take us to Niagara Falls. And then we would go to Canada and Sault Ste. Marie. So, so we had our little fun. But man, when I was a kid, I saw Marsha Brady wanted to go to Hawaii. I was like, that's
Right.
my dream vacation. Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
and he just talked about, I just want to read this. He said, look, the guy, right? The rich guy, he says, I love to travel. He says, I love to travel first class. He said, I love to stay at the best hotels and resorts. But like most rich idiots, I hate to pay full price for this lifestyle.
Right.
So what did I learn to do? I noticed that travel agents, the people that belong to a membership, get discounts, often big discounts for booking travel.
Mm-hmm.
They also get lots of perks and upgrades, and from coach to business class or first class on a plane, from a simple room with no view to a huge oceanfront suite. Often travel agents are even offered free trips to fantastic destinations. So what does a rich idiot like me, who has all of this real estate property all over the world, what do? He gets involved in the travel business so he can pay less for it, not pay full price, for fun and entertainment.
I
And he
love
says, joined our legacy company. And in his book, he said, go here, sign up on my website. You could be a travel agent too.
it. Oh
So I
my
want to
goodness.
I want to tell your audience, right, that hey, you can go to my website, vonnickleberry.com. You could join me on this journey to my 8 figures, right? We already did multiple 7 figures towards, maybe in the middle, but to my 8 figures and say, look, I want to travel the world, have some money, make some money, have some fun. Man, I want to coach you. I want to be there to be your biggest cheerleader. I promise I'm not going to put on the skirt. I might have the pom poms, but I want to tell you that you can do it. And I'm just a firm believer. Find something that you love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life. That's why I love to travel. My son had his passport like 3-4 years ago, and it's interesting to see my son, in Cancun and certain places that we've been. And then now it was like, he's like 5'7" now. No, he's like 5'9" now at 12 years old. And we took him to Cancun and he was shorter than 5'2". Wow. Just to be able to track those experiences and to create those memories. Every time I get on a plane, my son thinks he should come with daddy.
And that's okay. But you said he had his first passport when he was
Yeah.
5.
He got his, no, this is first passport, maybe about 3-4 years ago when he was
8 years old.
8 years old.
Already traveling international, which is
I
setting the
always travel
stage.
international.
He's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
always know that he could
Yeah.
that this is how he's supposed to live.
Oh yeah. Listen, my son has been to Disney like 5 times, 4 times,
You talking Disney
right?
World?
Disney World, right there in Orlando. He's been there 4 or 5 times.
Oh
By
my.
the time he was, because we haven't been to Disney in a while. So by the time he was 10, he already been like 3-4 times.
So that's like this is what life is supposed to be. Not we like you said about going to Hawaii. Like when
Yeah.
you saw people on TV do it, you automatically there's something in you that said this is how I want to live.
Right. Now, let me say this because my son has done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, my dad taught me so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want people to say, oh man, your son been in Disney World, your dad never. Man, my dad coached me. My dad was supportive. My dad would walk out on his job at General Motors to come see me play the basketball game. He was at every game I ever been at.
Wow.
And so if it was my game, he would just walk out and say, hey, my son played. And because they loved him, they knew they let him
Mm-hmm.
do it. And he was like, hey, I'm going to see my son play. My dad is one of the greatest men that I know.
Oh, that's
Oh,
wonderful.
no, he is.
That's wonderful.
And my mom is one of the best. I think when it comes to a mom, my mom is great. But listen to this. When I lost my mother-in-law, my mom and my dad was devastated
Mm.
because my mother-in-law served as a mentor to my mom and dad. Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
it's big time.
It is. Oh my. We're gonna take just a moment here to thank the people that have left comments for us, and that includes Sheila, Oliver, We have Melanie, and I see Sheila again. Thank you all for writing comments. Anybody that leaves a comment, I always try to make sure
Okay.
we acknowledge that. But it sounds like to me, you have a philosophy that you may have, maybe I don't know if you've voiced it before, that you would like to share with us. Because I know as we getting near the end of the show, if you have a philosophy you want to share with our audience, I'd like for you to share that with them.
Well, I'm I want to live my life based on 5 pillars:
Okay.
faith, and in this order:
Okay.
family, right? So we got faith number one,
Mm-hmm.
family,
Mm-hmm.
fitness,
Mm-hmm.
fun, and finances.
I like that. So these are the
You know,
5 F's. I didn't
right?
write
Those are the
it down, but I'll come back and see the show again.
Oh yeah, you know what? I tell people faith. It has to be number one because that's the thing that's going to carry. God is the person that you need to interact because He teaches you how to deal with family. So family is second,
Right.
right? And then fitness. Got
Mm-hmm.
to get yourself together. I mean, keep yourself. And it's interesting because we might say, as you get older, you realize that there's some things based on maybe how we ate who may impact us, or the thing that we used to do when we were younger, right?
Right.
That impacts us today, right? Fitness, excuse me, take care of yourself. So we got faith, family, fitness.
Right.
Then the next one is fun.
Gotta have fun.
Now I have finances last because in my head, if you take care of the other four,
Mm-hmm.
the finances will just fall right in play.
Oh, and we had Sheila said, definitely, I love that
Mhm.
order. It
Yeah, I do
is.
too.
I did you now these are your 5 pillars. You
Well,
came with these or
those are my 5 pillars that I put in order. Once I did that, I realized other people did it.
right,
Um, but I just chose to put them in that particular order because that is of most importance to me.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you.
And I'm
Uh,
thinking about adding another one, right? Or
mhm,
the prefix to the 5 F's and focus, right? Because if you focus on faith,
mhm.
focus on your family, focus. So again, while everybody else got 5 pillars, I might just introduce the sixth one as a prefix, just to let them know this is Von's original six
Got it.
F's.
I like that. And they make sense. They make
Mhm.
sense. Well, I already mentioned earlier. We can't wait to have when the book comes out. So that's
Yeah. Oh no, it's coming. But you know what? I want to make sure that when I write the book, that
Mhm.
I've mastered those things.
Well, I think that's I'm glad I'm gonna sit here and be honest with myself. I don't know that I'll master them, but I like the order and everything else. I think there's one I've never just put them in that with those labels, but
Mhm.
I've done them and probably out of order some of them. In other words, I probably put the fun before something, but I'm but at
Mhm.
the same time, I really like your pillars. And like you
Yeah.
said, even adding focus to it, I think that's wonderful too, because sometimes we don't always focus on these things.
Mhm.
And then when you lose focus, something gets out of whack. That's
No,
what
you
you
want to tell
really
me?
said.
I get it.
If you can focus on those things, you can stay focused and stay in line. I think it keeps your life organized when
Hmm.
you're in that. Another thing we could add is friends. Another F.
Yeah, we could add that one too. But you know what? I consider my good friends. I consider them part of the family.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
so
true. No, yes, you're
yeah.
right. You're absolutely right. I definitely agree with that. So,
Hmm.
and these are the ones you can choose. So,
Yes.
family you can't choose, but friends you can. So that does make a difference. Well, I tell you, I've been sitting here. I'm trying to take notes and try and learn, and at the same time, this has been just so. It's been wonderful to have this
Mhm.
time with you. Spend this time with you, and
Thank you.
and really know that. All of this positivity, all this energy, all this focus. You're a blessed man of God.
Thank
As
you.
you came on and said how you didn't get tricked, you got blessed.
Nah, I got tricked. I'm see God said, God, you tricked me. You know I came down here. I ain't come down here to teach Bible study.
But that's what. But you know what? I appreciate that because at least you knew the difference. But you also knew if
Mhm.
you were going to do something, you're going to do it right.
I was gonna do it right.
You and like your brother. Well, at that time wasn't your brother-in-law, but now your brother-in-law was saying to you, you know what, if you're not going to be right about my sister, then don't, you got to come correct.
Oh yeah.
And so you
Oh
knew
yeah.
then, well, I guess I got to do the right thing here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what? Even when he was my roommate, right? I mean, I knew I couldn't come home at 11 to 12 o'clock. I had to be home by 10. That
Oh,
was like his rule. He's like, dude, you date my sister. I need you to come in at a decent hour.
whoa. He
So
was
I
a
had to
good
be right.
sister. Yeah, he's saying, this is not a joke.
No,
This
it
is
wasn't a joke to him.
no, that was he was
Mm-mm.
her protector while she
Oh
was
yeah,
in.
he was.
Uh-huh. And I think he did a good job.
Oh yeah, he did. He did.
And we
He did.
have Sheila. Sheila said she's enjoyed every positive word. She said,
Thank you,
thank
Sheila.
you.
I
Isn't that
appreciate you guys
nice?
tuning in. Yes.
Oh, it does. They have been, I tell you, the audience, I love each and every one of them. When they take time to spend time with us, it means a lot. Ladies and gentlemen,
Hmm.
don't ever think that any of this is taken for granted because it isn't. It just means the world that you come and spend time with us. I wanted to thank I want to thank you, but at the same time, I don't want to let you go right now. I just want to
Nah, girl, mama, a couple more minutes.
well, because I know you mentioned you touched on Surge 365. You
Yes.
didn't say
My
that you were
shirt, Surge 365.
correct, but you didn't say that
Mhm.
you were a director with them. You
Yeah,
didn't.
it's just, it's just the title. I need to push to the next levels.
Oh,
Um, but and it's time. So I'm looking for, those people I can coach and say, hey, look, Von, show me the travel world, have some fun, make some money, and do what you did. I can't promise that you'll make seven figures. You might out earn me. But I can promise you that we're gonna have a lot of fun in trying.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
So, I like to under promise and over deliver.
Right. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Oh yeah. Because as you know, I'm involved. I'm not at the level as far as you are, but my husband and I've always been about 15 years in it too.
Mhm.
We absolutely love it. We
Yeah, I
absolutely
do.
love it. We've been because we were on the trip to Brazil. We were there too on that trip.
Oh yeah, man, that trip was fun.
It
My
was.
wife, my wife loved that trip, and she said we got to go back. And you know what? I'm gonna take her. I'm planning our next. I'm planning my next trip with my wife. I have the slightest idea where we're going, but it's gonna be somewhere fun, somewhere where she hasn't been. So we'll
Okay.
see.
Do you go now? Do you guys go on cruises too?
Yeah, we've gone on some cruise, but I think I think she wants to go to Hawaii. I'm not big on Hawaii, but right now wherever she wants to go, that's where we're going.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can tell you,
So we'll see.
we've done. We did. That was. I think that was our last big trip was Brazil,
Mhm.
and we were. I don't know if you remember hearing about the couple that got stuck in the elevator. Did you hear about
Oh,
that?
that was y'all that got stuck in the elevator? Yeah, I heard about y'all.
It was. We got stuck in the elevator in Brazil. But I'm gonna tell you one good thing came out of it. I actually wrote a children's book called "Stuck in the Elevator," and the book will
See?
be based on a. That's why I tell people based on a real life experience. So I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a true story.
Yeah.
We got stuck in the elevator with 9 other people, and they had to use a crowbar to get us out. This is true. This is all
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
We've
Well,
lived it. So we
I
became.
got I got my book. I
Oh,
got my book.
oh, do you? Oh,
God, you tricked me.
and you know what? Believe it or not, that sounds like a good title.
God, you tricked me. I'm telling you, you tricked me. I wasn't thinking about teaching Bible study, man. It was like when I taught it, it was like everything I had read, it came back. And I was just like, where's this stuff coming from?
It was already in you.
Yeah, yeah, I know, man. So yeah, God, you tricked me. That's the name of the book.
That is too funny. Nobody tricked you. But I keep saying he blessed you. I know you keep saying that you
Yeah,
were
he
blessed.
tricked me.
Well, I like to tell you, thank you, Vaughn, for coming on today. I've truly enjoyed talking
Oh,
with you
thank you.
today, and I know that, like you said, you're going up to the next level as far as working with Surge 365
Mhm.
and your team and everything else. We wish you the best always, but I hope that one day you will come back and spend some more time with us if you have
Oh, I will.
oh, definitely. I do
You
appreciate
just
it.
you just let me know and I'm there.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, we're going to let Vaughn go, and I'm going to talk to the audience quickly for a minute. Thank you again.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, you have been. I hope you've had just as much fun as I have. with Mr. Nickleberry, Von Nickleberry. He has taken time out of his day. One thing I'm thinking many of you have noticed, our sound is better. Thank you, thank you. Remember, we've been having issues with our sound. That's been hugely a big difference. So we got that taken care of. It looks like anyway. We will be back. Who is it next? Here you go. There we go. We'll be back on Monday, June 7th, with another special guest. And we're doing something different. For those of you, it's going to be a show on singles. So I'm going to have 4 singles on the show, and they can talk about what it's like being single during this time, what we're dealing with, dating, or the single life now in our society. What is it like dating, going out on dates? How do you meet people? All of that. So if you like to be a guest for the single show, and then there'll be another show, and it's for married couples. Or let's just say couples. I don't want to say you don't have to be married. You can be a couple and not be married. So let's say couples. So if you're interested in being on either one of those shows, just send me an email. And let me put the email. I'll put it up here for you guys so you can see it up here. And that's Mary at First Book Academy. That's the one I use the most. bookacademy.com. Send me an email. And if you're interested, oh, here we go. Okay. There we go, .com. So let me put that at the banner, and there we go. Send me an email. So it's going to come to me or my team, Mary at firstbookacademy.com. When you send the email, the show, as you know, is always on Mondays. I know we're over time. It's always on Mondays, but you would send the email. Oops, we got 4 comments too. I didn't get a chance to put those 4 up. Ooh. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, I saw Gwendolyn. Oh, because you're single. Okay, Sheila, send the email if you're interested. So we'd like to have on there. It'll be 4 men and 4 women talk about what it's like to be single during this time period in our lives, and how dating is for you. And then we're doing the couples. So send the email, and then there's a team of people that'll be picking people for those shows, and those are coming in July and August. Those will be the July and August shows for singles and couples. So those of you that are interested, send the email, and you'll send a headshot. Let me tell you what you're going to put in the email. Your headshot, just take your camera, do a very good headshot, and a bio, because that's what will be included in the marketing for that show. All right. Thank you, each and every one of you. I love you, love you, love you. I do appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, and Gwen said, good show. Always thank you, everybody. I'll see you again on Monday, June the 7th. All righty. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.